All right, we're going to be recapping exactly what we were looking for in today's trade that ended up being a break even. We were a couple points off of TP, which is kind of unfortunate. We're going to break down exactly what our bias looked like and how we were able to navigate an entry um, pretty close to the open, right? So off the open here, we are short bias because, again, what happened here, right? We're in these imbalances, right? We swept internal range on the higher time frame. We have an inversion here as well, right? Seeing this close below here, right? And what do we see overnight happen, right? Some chop, 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 little buy up, right? Taps into this 1 hour gap, right? And then obviously gets this sell overnight. So going into the New York Open, we're kind of looking for a continuation on the higher time frame in order to deliver into this low down here, right? And then this low a day that we put in. So the low a day here and this nice internal low I liked a lot. Looking at the 15-minute as well, this was also supporting in a 15-minute gap, right? We could see some consolidation, ton of liquidity lower, right? Lining with the higher time frame to obviously go lower. So going to the 1 minute, right? We see price open up a gap here that we were initially looking at. Right, let's just pull open the Discord here, right? We're looking for lower prices. We see this internal sweep, which we ended up getting, right? Closer to 10, which is exactly what we got. Originally, I was looking for a closure below this gap, but I'll show you guys, we obviously didn't get it, so we held off. Now, going back to the chart, right, you can see here, we still did not get the close below that gap, right? And we can see ES also bounce off there as well. Now, price decides to trade higher, right? Eventually making some SMT with some kind of internal high up here. Let me find it. Up here, right? This internal high, we did not sweep on NQ, but we did on ES, right? We see price start to displace back into the range. Now, this is where it started to catch my eye is, okay, we have this gap down here, which was originally respected. We could see ES, obviously just by eye, we could see that it's weaker, right? We're very much more close to these lows in comparison to NQ. Now, this gap here is what I was waiting for a flip since there's divergence, and then I want to see ES close below this gap. So this is where, right, I was looking at this, right, ES looking a lot better, right, with the closure below here, and then obviously this was alerted, right, trying half risk. Now, why did I go half risk on this trade? The biggest thing is seeing what the open was doing, right? The direction was pretty clear in what we wanted to see, but in terms of price delivery, it was very choppy. Now, when you see a very choppy first 30 minutes, you can anticipate the next hour to be somewhat similar, right? It might deliver a little bit more with the new 4-hour open, right? The 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. window. In there, usually you could find something and maybe it'll move a little bit better. But I was kind of anticipating price to chop around, obviously, since this is kind of the story that has been going on for the past, couple days or so, right? So that's why I wanted to go half risk seeing this delivery. So we got the closure here. This is where I entered, right? And then I have a stop at this high. Now, reason being is because this is our invalidation point, right? If we end up coming back, if price wants to trade higher, right, then we're likely to see higher into those imbalances, right? And if we're still looking for shorts, we would need to obviously take some kind of re-entry, right? This is a very nice swing high put in here. So seeing us close below here on NQ as well, right? We took our jab and then price just kind of did its thing, which I'll play after, but I want to explain our targets, right? We were favoring this nice internal low down here, like we said, and the low a day that we put in early on. So, the plan was to take a partial at 857 and then go break even and then ride the rest into 849. That was the plan, right? So once we got in, right, we were kind of chopping around both ways. Again, something I want to mention as always is having a predetermined plan is going to help you sit through these kind of things, right? You understand why you're doing something. You have your limits. You took the setup that you needed to see. There's nothing else you could possibly do, right? You can't sit here, try and be like, oh, the 1 minute is trying to push up. We're getting an inversion to the upside, whatever it might be. I'm just saying, and trying to deviate from your plan or manipulate your own mind to closing the trade early or possibly taking profits early even, right? Whatever it might be. So once we're in this trade, We're just holding it with a stop, right? We were sitting in this trade for about like an hour, hour and a half, I think even close to 2 hours, right? You can see here, I will pull up this as well because this is very important to note in the commentary. And it was about this BPR, right? This BPR that we created, I said, okay, if this BPR invalidates, right, meaning we break above, we're likely to see a high a day. Now, I meant this on NQ, right, which we understand since ES is the weaker asset. If we are correct, this high should stick, right? And if anything, we're going to come sweep the high a day on NQ, right? So we see price, eventually come run that high. I think it even goes lower once more, right? See this BPR. What does price do? Right, there we go. Sweeps high day. And then we start to come back into the range. Now, something that can be taken away from this is maybe we could have been more patient to possibly engage. But in my opinion, since I had such high conviction in the draw, that's really all I needed to see, right? We put in a good invalidation point. If we didn't have a good invalidation point, then this would be a different story, right? If we didn't have a good swing high. So there's really, again, nothing else I think we could have done. It just was back and forth type of day. And then eventually we started to get our move. There's really no reason to take a partial, right? Break even, I believe we actually went break even at 1144 here on this candle. Reason being is because structure was looking good. We did trail our stops to 892 at one point as well, which I will pop that open as well. Right. At this point, I did say feel free to go break even. I did take a little change of a plan because seeing this price kind of go back and forth, I did want to see a lower, obviously that lower day come in, but it just wasn't really giving too much. So I feel like with the amount of times that we're chopping around up here, there's really no reason to come back if we are going to run lower. So that's where I kind of deviated a little bit from the plan, which was a little bit discretionary. I don't think I should have did it. But in reality, and you guys will see why I shouldn't have moved break even is because we ended up smacking the full take profit without getting stopped out, right? And especially going half risk, I don't think I should have went break even that early. So going back to it, right? We're a couple points off this low day here, right? And we're break even at this point. And price decides to, at this point I was like, okay, we're definitely coming for this low day here, right? There's really nothing stopping this. What do you know? We're a few points off. Price trades back, right? And then stops out break even. Now, this is where I kind of, like I said, is we shouldn't have done anything. We should have just left at least that 892 stop in, right? There was really no reason to deviate. But I guess in just looking at structure and over analyzing and being in this trade for so long, I was pretty confident once we got this move down to go break even. But in reality, right, all we did was rebalance price to eventually get a second entry off this 1 minute inversion here, which you guys will see. Right, and then eventually delivering into low day, and then eventually getting the full TP. Right, there you go. So the biggest thing, right, also executions as well, right, getting stopped out break even here. It's just super unfortunate. But the biggest takeaway is really just respecting those stops initially. That's the only thing I could really think about, right? It was more of a discretionary thing, which I thought was right. I don't blame myself too much for it. Just looking back, I obviously shouldn't have done that. And that's what, got us stopped out. Should have just accepted the half risk and let it go. But full TP hit, and then that was pretty much it for the day. We kind of just went sideways. We didn't really do much after this. Kind of just had a little move up back in the range. I believe actually we had some news come out in PM, if I'm not mistaken. We did get a move up. Yeah, we didn't do too much. We're just back and forth. But yeah, that was pretty much it for the recap. Just a break-even day. Cut it, move on. There's always another day, always another trade. Not much really to do. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.